I'm Mike Finwambeki, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of In Their Own Words, Pursuit After Gettysburg. Now, while the production values of this video can't compare with what Hollywood can give you, I'm hoping I can pique your interest through a discussion of what was at stake in this battle. Firstly, I think we can agree that there's something quite striking about witnessing Pickett's charge wherever your sympathies lie. For Southerners, it can be seen as the last great charge of a lost cause. After Gettysburg, Lee would never again seriously threaten Northern territory. And for Northerners, it represents the repulse of the great General Lee, a man who had decisively beaten Northern forces for over 2 years. Oftentimes, it is looked to as the turning point of the Civil War, and while Lincoln was jubilant to hear the news initially, he would soon express great displeasure at the commander who had led Union forces to victory, General George Meade. What had turned Lincoln's opinion against Meade? Had Meade erred in his handling of the campaign and its aftermath? Or did Lincoln misjudge the reality on the ground as he waited for news in Washington? Consider these questions as we hear from participants in their own words.
You have given the enemy a stunning blow at Gettysburg. Follow it up and give him another before he can cross the Potomac. There is strong evidence that he is short of artillery ammunition, and if vigorously pressed, he must suffer.
You will, however, learn before this reaches you that our success at Gettysburg was not so great as reported. In fact, that we failed to drive the enemy from his position, and that our army withdrew to the Potomac. Had the river not unexpectedly risen, all would have been well with us. But God, in his all-wise providence, willed otherwise, and our communications have been interrupted and almost cut off. I trust that a merciful God, our only hope and refuge, will not desert us in this hour of need, and will deliver us by his almighty hand, that the whole world may recognize his power and all hearts be lifted up in adoration and praise of his unbounded loving kindness. May God guide and protect us all, is my constant prayer. Mr. President, my letter of yesterday should have informed you of the position of this army. Though reduced in numbers by the hardships and battles through which it has passed since leaving the Rappahannock, its condition is good and its confidence unimpaired.
July 14th. I found Lee in a very strong position, entrenched. I hesitated to attack him without some examination of the mode of approaching him. I called my corps commanders together, and they voted against attacking him. This morning, when I advanced to feel his position and seek for a weak point, I found he had retired in the night and was nearly across the river. I immediately started in pursuit, and my cavalry captured 2,000 prisoners, 2 guns, several flags, and killed General Pettigrew. On reporting these facts to General Halleck, he informed me the President was very much dissatisfied at the escape of Lee.
I need hardly say to you that the escape of Lee's army without another battle has created great dissatisfaction in the mind of the President.
Again, my dear General, I do not believe you appreciate the magnitude of the misfortune involved in Lee's escape. He was within your easy grasp, and to have closed upon him would, in connection with our other late successes, have ended the war. As it is, the war will be prolonged indefinitely.
I immediately telegraphed I had done my duty to the best of my ability, and that the expressed dissatisfaction of the President I considered undeserved censure, and asked to be immediately relieved. In reply, he said it was not intended to censure me, but only to spur me on to an active pursuit, and that it was not deemed sufficient cause for relieving me. This is exactly what I expected. Unless I did impracticable things, fault would be found with me. I have ignored the senseless adulation of the public and press, and I am now just as indifferent to the censure bestowed without just cause. I start tomorrow to run another race with Lee. George Meade.
Lincoln certainly had reason to be upset in the aftermath of Gettysburg. As we have seen, he sensed a golden opportunity that Meade failed to capitalize upon. Lee was able to escape, regroup, and offer fresh resistance when Union armies again marched south. This was a general that had outwitted Union armies for 2 years, inflicted thousands of casualties on Union forces, and who could now continue to offer fierce resistance until the South lost its capacity to fight in 1865. And with the continuation of the war, Lincoln would have to face domestic unrest, a serious challenge to his re-election hopes, and more bloody campaigns to finally get the South to capitulate and to get Lee to surrender. 18,000 Union casualties in the Wilderness, 13,000 at Cold Harbor, and 11,000 casualties at Petersburg, just to name a few of the battles that were fought after Gettysburg. So to what extent do you side with Lincoln's position and rebuke of Meade? Victory could bring a real benefit, but was Meade right to hesitate in the end? Consider the points made in the video, and study the other sources to reach a conclusion on this issue. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll check out other videos on this site for more episodes of In Their Own Words.